the new leader of the Alberta NDP, Naheed Nenshi.
That's the former mayor of Calgary, Naheed Nenshi, being announced as the new leader of the Alberta NDP over the weekend. Nenshi succeeds outgoing party leader Rachel Notley after a landslide victory. Naheed Nenshi, thanks for joining us and congratulations on your big win.
Well, thank you very much, David. This feels like old home, but the backdrop's a little different and the outfit's a little different. But you know what? I can do hard things. And it's pretty easy to jump on the bandwagon when the team is this good and it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, I saw you there in that jersey, and I was thinking, you know, you hold all the seats in Edmonton, and it's Calgary where you need to grow if you're going to form government, right? I mean, you're working against the good of your party,
Premier for
right?
the whole province, David. Premier for the whole province.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. You won with 86% of the vote, over 62,000 votes. With a margin like that, you must have known going into Saturday that you had it in the bag. At what point in this race were you pretty confident you were going to be the next leader?
Well, really, I never was, because I always campaign like I'm 10 votes behind. But, you know, I'm also, as anyone who watches this show knows, I'm also very data-driven and very evidence-driven. And I was looking at all the data, and I was saying, you know what, this is that 20th poll out of 20, the one that's wrong. There's no way the numbers could be this good. And in fact, we were wrong. The numbers were better. But, you know, I'm really excited about it because I'm told that that's the largest number of votes any provincial party leader has received in Canadian history on the first ballot, that the Alberta NDP is most likely the largest provincial political party in Canada at the moment, and that 86.5% voter turnout is something we never see in leadership races. The recent Ontario Liberal race was 30%. So this really is the beginning of a huge movement. It's not because people, you know, were trying to get me off of Power and Politics that they got excited about this. I think it's because people are saying they are tired of this divisive, small-minded politics that we're seeing everywhere, and they're willing to try something better and to get committed to trying something better, and that is incredibly energizing and incredibly exciting. Okay,
so you're in the leadership, but you're not in the legislature, and it's difficult to lead an opposition party from outside of the parliament, no matter what level of government it's in. So how are you going to approach that?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is the Alberta legislature actually doesn't meet very much. It only meets 12 to 15 weeks a year. And one of the things I'm really focused on is getting out in Alberta more. So I think the caucus is going to be more focused on, not on great zingers during question period, but on really being out there talking to Albertans. And I'm very happy that today I was able to bolster the leadership team, and our brilliant House Leader, Christina Gray, will now be the official leader of the opposition in the House, and that Raki Pancholi is taking on the role of deputy leader, both hugely, incredibly brilliant women, incredibly brilliant legislators, and I know that the caucus will be very well served by them.
But there's going to be a seat open in that legislature, even if it only meets 12 to 15 weeks, with Shannon Phillips leaving in Lethbridge. Is that a seat you would look to run in, or will you ask one of your MLAs in Calgary maybe to step aside for you to get in there at some point?
So the answer to that question is probably neither of those things. Probably not in Lethbridge, only because unlike our current premier who represents a riding she doesn't live in and kind of pops in a few times a year, I really believe in the power of local MLAs doing good local work. Now, if the local organizers say, Naheed, you're our guy, I'm happy to have the conversation. But I think we're going to have someone great there. And no, I will not ask anyone to step aside. I'm really cognizant of the fact that the election was only a year ago, and this is someone's dream to be an elected official. I'm not crushing their dream because I happen to be the leader now. But I know that at some point, an opportunity will present itself to join the legislature, and I will. And I'm inspired by this by the former leader of the Wildrose Party, who I think took 3 years to get into the legislature. What was her name again? Oh yeah, Danielle Smith.
But you know, you've been around politics a good chunk of your life, but municipal politics, you don't have caucus management issues, you don't have to be part of the legislative process the way you do in a provincial legislature. You know, would it not be to your benefit to get in there sooner rather than later with an election not set till 2027?
You know, sure, but there's lots of work to be done outside that as well. And you know, I kind of know what I don't know, and there's a lot of things I don't know, but I also think that that brings a set of fresh eyes to the situation. And you know, we've talked on this show many, many times about getting too inside the bubble. And I don't mind being outside of the bubble for a little while to really be listening to Albertans more than to doing the theatrics in the legislature.
Okay, so you don't yet know what's going to happen in terms of that aspect of it, but you've also raised the idea of reimagining your relationship as a provincial party with the federal NDP and putting it to the convention of the party upcoming in spring. I mean, how serious are you, how determined are you, Mr. Nenshi, to separate the Alberta NDP from the federal NDP or change the current structured relationship in a substantive way?
So people who watch this show probably know, but most Canadians don't know that most provincial parties are independent of their federal party. So the Ontario Liberal Party is not affiliated with the Liberal Party of Canada. The UCP here in Alberta is not affiliated officially with the Conservative Party of Canada. But the NDP is different. It's just one party. So when you join a provincial affiliate, you also join the federal party. And I heard every day on the campaign trail a variety of opinions, but every single person or every single place I went, people would say, look, I was door knocking, and people would say, I love Rachel Notley, I love the NDP, I don't like Danielle Smith, but, and there were always two buts, but the economy and but the federal NDP. And I don't like conversations boiling under the surface. We've got to surface them. We've got to let the members make a decision once and for all, and we've got to move forward. And we're going to do that with respect for the past, with admiration for what we've been able to accomplish together. But we will move forward, and I'm dedicated to giving the members a very clear choice so we can make a decision once and for all. Now, I have an opinion on the matter. I think that our party is strong enough to be on its own, but ultimately the members will decide, and I will abide by their decision.
Strong enough to be on its own, like, does that mean a name change and a rebranding, the whole thing, or just like a corporate restructuring, for lack of a better term?
I think more the latter. I think giving people the choice to join one party without joining the other, thinking about how we share data in different ways, it's kind of boring stuff, but I think it's important. But I think the choice on the membership is the most important. I'm not particularly interested in a rebranding. I think that Rachel Notley has built a powerful brand and a powerful machine here in Alberta. And I think we can move forward together, as every other political party has done many decades ago.
Well, what is it about the federal NDP? I mean, I know they are a little bit less pro-oil, for example, than the provincial Alberta NDP would be because of the nature of the economy, tend to be more of an urban progressive policy set. Is it that sort of thing that's clashing with Alberta politics?
And there's always been policy disagreements. And, Rachel Notley had a farewell gala the other night, and Jagmeet Singh was there. And they said about how they always disagree on policy. And, that's fine for people like us and viewers of Power in Politics to understand those differentiations. But I think it's a bit much to ask the average voter to say, even though the name is the same, even though the logo is similar, they're actually fundamentally different. And I think that getting that right and being able to build the movement here is probably helpful for voters. But ultimately, as I say, the members will decide.
Okay, so you've got that on your plate. You have to figure out how to lead the party. Just as a final question, you're going to be going up against Danielle Smith, presumably, unless something changes with the UCP. You went to university with the Premier of Alberta. You guys go way back. How do you think that will affect the dynamic now that you're going to be in direct competition in the zero-sum game of wanting to be the Premier of Alberta?
Let's see what happens. Partisan politics is new to me. I've never been in opposition before. But it is true. I've known Danielle for 30 years. We went to university together. Famously, we took a class together. The professor was a guy called Peter Naheed. I feel like one of us was paying attention. But there's no bad blood between us. We get along fine. But we fundamentally disagree on many things, including the direction of this province and what it means to be a government for the people. So yeah, they'll get called out every single time. But at the same time, I need to focus on presenting Albertans with a positive view of what is possible here in the future. I said in my victory speech that the UCP's view is small. It's a small-minded, small Alberta. And Alberta has many things, but we're not small. And it's time to appeal to people to be bigger in our dreams, bigger in our thinking about what is possible. And so the balance between calling out the government and building that vision is going to be a fun trick, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, as Alberta's newest Oilers fan, what's your prediction for the game tonight?
I'm a little superstitious, but obviously it's going to be a night for the ages, and that cup is coming back to Canada.
All right, Naheed Nenshi, good to speak with you. That's Naheed Nenshi, the new leader of the Alberta New Democratic Party. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.